Hey guys, sorry for the late start, but we are live. I'm still waiting for my guest. There's been some technical difficulties, but he should be on here soon. Kenpo Joe Rebelo. He is a grandmaster, a martial arts historian, and so much more. So hopefully he joins us and tells us all about the Black Dragon Fighting Society. So, I want to mention I actually created a YouTube membership today. So check that out if you want exclusive videos. I posted the first video already, and I'll be posting probably at least like one or two exclusive videos a week for you guys, to help support the channel, be part of the Supreme Brotherhood. But I'm just going to go over some of these comments that you guys have left until Joe gets here. Tomahawk. Rob Van Cleef passed the name Black Dragon to Michael Jai White, but I guess you mean the Black Dragon Fighting Society started by Count Dante, and it's not the same as Japan's 1901 Black Dragon Society, or is it? We're going to find out, but yeah, Ron Van Cleef is the original Black Dragon. Such a cool nickname. And I got to spend some time with him on Warrior Island. Great conversations. So we're both in that miniseries that I believe is going to come out in November. It was a lot of fun talking to him and getting to know him better. As far as him passing the name Black Dragon to Michael Jai White, I don't know anything about that. Though I know he likes Michael Jai White. He's actually, I think, going to be in a Michael Jai White movie that films in October. So they'll be working together, which is kind of cool. Vegan Higgler. It's the most secretive secret society who used to host underground tournaments. That's true. And we all know that because of Bloodsport, right? 1942 members of the Black Dragon Society were arrested by the FBI in the San Joaquin Valley, where I'm from. The Black Dragon Society was also a 1942 DC Comics Bloodsport organized. The Kumite. Oh, I guess it was part of James Bond, You Only Live Twice, Mortal Kombat, and with Kano as the leader. Hey, what's up, Richard? How have I been? Extremely busy. Like, I'm going through a move. There's a long story related to that, though I might actually end up staying here. So that's a very long story. But regardless, I was packing up and getting ready for that. And, I've been gone for like a week and a half doing Warrior Island. I was training with former two-time heavyweight boxing champ Tim Witherspoon. I did a collab show. If you guys ever watch Jason Branch, So Bad It's Good, great show, man. Him and his wife usually will drink a beer, watch a movie that's so bad it's good, make fun of it, and he is not the biggest Steven Seagal fan, so you guys know that I am, right? So of course we had to watch a Steven Seagal movie together. That video should probably come out in a couple of weeks, but I'm raving about Steven Seagal. I'm loving the movie. Everybody else is shitting on it, but it made for a funny, interesting dynamic. So yeah, I've been very busy, and I'm actually preparing for another project. I believe that will start shooting at the end of August or early September. So I'm in preparation for that while still trying to get this YouTube stuff going. So yeah, the next project should be pretty cool. So of course, in the last Kumite, I survived the Kumite. I'm still here. I survived Warrior Island, but will I survive a prison island? We'll see. Robert Samuels. I would not have a career in Hong Kong if not for my godfather, Ron Van Cleef. Ron is the man. The guy, he's 80 or 81, and he is still going to compete. Like, he still competes. Like, he trains jujitsu all the time, and there is an upcoming match that he told me about. I don't know if I can publicly say, like, who the opponent and everything else about it, but this guy is so incredible that he started competing and fighting in tournaments since, like, the 1960s, obviously the 70s, the 80s, 90s. He was in UFC 4. He fought in that. He had the cool Apollo Creed American flag shorts. And even in like the 2020s, he's still competing. Like, I don't think there's another guy on the planet that competed since the 60s and is still active now. Like, Chuck Norris isn't competing right now, and he's about the same age as Ron. So cool guy, man. Still, like, dude still got a six-pack, man. That's crazy. Okay. Let's see. What are the comments we got? Oh, Belgian Dan. Sounds like the great kind of busy. Keep up the awesome work. Yeah, it is definitely the great kind of busy, man. I need to catch up on sleep and decompress a little bit, but staying busy and active, it's a good thing for sure, for sure. There's really only one Clint, but I always did like Lee Van Cleef. Whatever happened to Lee? Nobody was steely eyed like Lee Van Cleef. Hey, what's up, man? NWJ. Yeah, Ron Van Cleef is freaking inspirational, no doubt, man. Like we should all hope to be that active and mobile, like in our 80s. I mean, even in our 70s or 60s, right? Oh, and the cool thing too, he told me that he didn't even like start kind of slowing down physically. He didn't even really kind of notice a physical decline until he hit 60. So for me, that's like very inspirational and motivational. Like I probably still have a good 20 years left, hopefully, of peak performance because I still right now at 40 still I mean, I feel like I'm in college, man. Like from like an athletic perspective, I still feel like I'm in my athletic prime. So, I mean, according to Ron Van Cleef, he kept that going until he was like 60. Okay, Tony Dallin, thank you for your show. Jealous of the martial artists you have come in contact with. My heroes, thank you for your life, your brother in Christ. This channel has been beyond incredible, like a gateway into this world. I mean, I think in June, maybe in May or June, a couple months ago, I was literally in the ring training with Don the Dragon Wilson. And, after that, I was in St. Louis literally doing Aikido, Tenshin Aikido, with Sensei Elliot Freeman, Steven Skill's most senior student. So I did my first randori. I'll have to post that video in the future. Just last week, I was literally hitting mitts, hitting pads with Tim Witherspoon. It's incredible, man. Like I'm so blessed to be able to do all this stuff. Right? It's like a dream come true. And then working on film and TV projects. Right? It's crazy. Sandra, I wish you the best with all the different projects. Thank you. Thank you. Richard, I want Ron's genetics. Yeah, I think we all do, man. The guy does not age. Yeah, I got more than 20 years left. Philo, my friend told me about the boxer who held up a store last night. Well, what's that all about? Like, give us a little. Yeah, who I asked. I want to know who too. So, I wonder if Joe is actually going to join us. Kenpo Joe. He said as a backup, if his laptop wasn't going to work, which he had issues with, he was going to join us, just on his phone. So hopefully he pops in. Otherwise, um, Tim something, but no, like I doubt that, man. Like that would be very disappointing. He's such a nice guy, man. I enjoyed training with him. I enjoyed going to dinner with him. If you guys want to see some of that, pictures and stuff, I'll put more training footage up. But check out my Instagram, Real Viking Samurai, if you're not following me there, because I got all kinds of cool behind the scenes stuff on Warrior Island, different training stuff. Yeah, all kinds of fun things. Not a knife. Anyway, I need a little pickup. If you guys ever want a nice pickup, this is a very delicious energy drink. Obviously, if you've been watching my Instagram, you know I'm associated with First Form for a reason. These are really the only products I take. They help me maintain and stay in the best shape of my life at middle age. But these products are great. Obviously, you need to train a lot and you got to eat right, but the supplements do add on top of that. Anyway, this is a nice pickup. A nice pick me up. Let me call Kenpo Joe, by the way, and we'll talk to him together live.
David, I'm trying. I'm on Microsoft Edge and trying to get through, and it keeps saying my browser has blocked it.
Your browser has blocked it. Really interesting.
Yep.
Maybe.
And I've tried to go through the settings and look for the tab which says allow microphone and camera. I don't see it.
Well, maybe some members of the Black Dragon Fighting Society, because it's so secretive, is blocking it so you don't talk about it. What do you think?
I think I've heard of weirder things in the world, but all right. So hold on here. So let me go here. So
I'd say try accessing it on your phone in the next couple of minutes if you can't get the laptop working.
It's saying the same thing when I try it there.
Yeah.
Right,
oh, it's saying the same thing on your phone?
Yep. All right. So what's the code there? It's what J what? Can you read that off to me?
What do you mean the code?
The actual room code.
Oh.
So it's www.streamyard.com and then it's J. Let's see here.
It's JQRZ
JC.
No, JQ.
Hold on. Okay, JQ.
R.
Z.
J.
8.
The number 8, yeah.
Okay.
And then A like Alex.
A.
And then the number 8.
8.
H.
H is in Henry.
H is in Henry, and I like igloo.
I. Okay, enter. See what happens.
Hey, Belgian Dan, this is Orange Sunrise, by the way. It's pretty damn good.
Okay, this is going. I'm going through Microsoft Edge on this instance.
Hey, what's up, R&K mode? Oh, there are comments. I got Joe on mute, by the way. Oh no, the Black Dragon Society is blocking his browser. Yeah, man, we're trying to get the secrets out. Trying to get it all out.
Still spinning. Working. This page isn't responding. Hold on. No, it is. It is now.
Oh, it is.
Hang on. So we got up to the entering the studio page. Hold
okay.
On.
We might actually get them, guys.
Let's see what happens. Please pass my apologies to anyone watching.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, this guy, RNK mode. Did Frank Duke sabotage the chat already? I was thinking it could have been Frank or Ashita Kim, you know. They got to protect the secrets.
Microphone cam access. Let's hit the tab and see what happens. It says click allow on the browser pop-up. Okay.
Red Dead Grimland. Love Scott Atkins. The reason he didn't break fully through, in my opinion, he's too friendly a guy for the business. He's a really nice guy from the interactions I've had with him. And I got to work with his good buddy, Silvio Samak. That was great on Warrior Island, by the way. Greetings from Belgium. Do you think there are benefits to taking Phenobits? I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a typo or what the heck that is.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, what's up, Terrence? Terrence arrived, guys. He comments all the time on videos. What's up, Terrence?
I don't see a cam going on.
I am doing good, Terrence. I've been extremely busy, but I'm still obviously trying to get this YouTube content out. My guest, by the way, is trying to get in. He's been having technical difficulties, so hopefully he'll join us and let us all know about the Black Dragon Fighting Society.
Diagonal line and a no camera symbol.
Oh, what's up, Brandon? Yeah, you don't usually make the live streams, man. But the funny thing is, oh, hang on. Yeah, I'm here, man. I was just had you on mute because I was interacting with the guests.
I see this Tomoe symbol, a diagonal line underneath it with a no symbol on. I don't know what's going on.
I say just try to use your phone, man.
Hold on. Let me try to enter the studio.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Bears Fan Goomba. First time on the live stream, long time listening. I'm well and cool. Hopefully we'll get our guest on, though. We're struggling with this, man. Okay, we don't need... That's too much info. Of course, we all want the crazy Count Dante stories. Are you still backing Deca Heggie? That is a very long story. talked to the guy once on his live stream. So that's a very long story as far as this big fight event that I'm trying to put on, that the Tong Po Don Wilson fight is going to be on, and many other fights. And Deca may be a part of that. We will see, but we got to get this event in stone. We had a couple of really good meetings with, I'll just say, a very powerful country. So this thing could be huge.
Lost connection to your mic. Make sure you have the right mic selected and choose any other applications that might be using it. Skype, Zoom. Zoom might have put it out as a default.
Yeah, check that, man. Just do a Control Alt Delete and, check out your task manager, man. Anyway, what do I think about Replicant? I think it was interesting, and I need to revisit it, man. I watched it when it came out. Oh, hang on. Oh, I think he's here. I'm going to add you to the stream. We don't see you, but maybe we could hear you. Say something real quick, could you?
Sure, hold on. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nah.
Try to hit unmute. Hold on.
Oh, J-Ruse. Yeah, the DVDs that were in the background, they're all boxed up right now. That is a very long story. They may come back. They may not, man. It's complicated.
Should have tested this like 24 hours in advance and didn't. All right.
I mean, usually it's fine 20 or 10 minutes in advance. Like you said, you were doing these StreamYards before, Okay, Terrence, what were you gonna say about me not?
So here's a weird thing.
Oh, I keep getting cut off, Terrence. What's up, man?
Well, you can hear me.
Yeah. Well, on my phone.
Microphone and at least get an audio through the phone.
I guess that's better than nothing.
Something, and then we'll reshoot it another time. But I feel bad for anybody who's watching, and at least you'll have something.
Yeah, I'll just hold this up to the microphone. Somebody comment if you can hear Joe okay through the microphone. Like somebody say something. Say something, Joe.
Testing 1, 2, 3. See, it's still listed as mute, and when I try to click it to unmute, it won't do it.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Oh shit!
It won't unmute. The other alternative would be to try to do it through Zoom.
No, I can't live stream Zoom. I've tried that before.
Oh, that's right. They don't allow you for a 60 MAI because I did that with an interview in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, you can hear me, correct?
I can. I just want to know if the audience says they can hear you. Okay. Well, I'll just hold this up here to the microphone. We'll do it this way, man.
Yeah, at least, and then we can do it. We can get it, do it in advance, and do an updated one and correct one, and at least we have something for now for all your fans.
Yeah. Oh, and the message keeps popping up. They can't unmute your mic because your mic's not connected. So, do you have like an external microphone you plug into your laptop, or is it in?
Nope, it's just something going on with. I haven't had this problem before.
Okay. And you can't actually join the StreamYard through your phone. You should be able to.
I tried to. I will try. I'll give me one more time. I'll try it, and if not, I'll call you right back.
Yeah. Do that real quick because that might be a good backup, and I'll catch up to some of these comments real quick.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Call you right back. All right. Bye.
Okay. I think we'll get them one way or another. Okay. So going back to Terrence's comment, what was I going to say? I don't even know, man. Too many distractions. I was just going to say I'm glad you're here live, Terrence. Okay. My thoughts are all scattered now. Thanks, Brandon. Let's see. Great channel. I got a question. What's your opinion about Bujinkin? Well, from other people I've talked to, my opinion's not very high, but I'm the kind of guy that would like to give my real opinion. I need to explore it more. I need to study it more, and I need to actually train with some people who are involved. So then I could actually give a fair opinion. I'm not going to shit on something if I have no experience. I'm not going to rave about it unless I have experience. So right now it's based on what I heard, it's not very high, but that could change if I actually get to train with some people involved with it. How close are you to getting Van Damme on? That's a really good question, man. I think if I do anything with Van Damme, I would like to do something in person. You know how Jesse Enkamp does his videos when he went out with Michael Jai White, he went out with Steven Skull, like he spent the day with them, he trained with them. That's something I would like to do with Van Damme, more than just like some Zoom related thing. Any luck on getting Sensei Seagal on your podcast? Again, something that I would really like to do in person with him. I did talk to him on the phone last year, and it was an amazing conversation. I know we would have an amazing conversation, even if it's just with Zoom, but I want to do something with him in person, something more special. Viking Samurai, I'm going to go into a Hollywood studio, kick a door down. Maybe that will get me a role. I don't think that's the best strategy, man. That is not the best strategy to get into a film or TV project. Okay. Yeah, Belgian, yeah. Let me know how that works out. Yeah, I'm going to say it's not going to work out too well. Count Dante, the deadliest man alive of the Black Dragon Society from the infamous Chicago Dojo Wars. And I'm sure Kenpo Joe knows all about that he could fill us in on. And hopefully he'll be able to join with his phone. Otherwise, we'll do it the ghetto-ass way, right? Nell's on chalkboard. Yeah, it's not the best audio doing it that way, man. Let's see. Other comments. Okay. Better when holding not too close to the mic. Thank you. I'll hold it a little back if we have to go that route. Yeah, he's on Chrome, man. And that's what I'm on. I don't know why he's having issues, because he has done other lives through StreamYard. Oh, how close are you getting in Van? Okay, same question. Yeah, I'm sure we'd probably meet up someday, man. I've been meeting people I've met on the channel, and sometimes people, you know what's crazy about YouTube? Like, people recognize me in public because of the channel. Like, when I was in Italy last year, there were two guys that recognized me from the channel. One of them was the security guard at the Sistine Chapel. And it was so cool because he had told me, like, the day before I was there, Sylvester Stallone was there and, getting like his tour and everything. And he showed me the selfie he took with him. I was like, damn it, man, I could have seen Stallone had I gone one day earlier. And then another time in Rome, and this is so crazy because I don't have like that big of an audience from Italy. Like, I look at the analytics, it's such a small percentage, but I was literally just walking down the street in Rome and some dude just blurted out, "Hey, Viking Samurai." I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" So kind of crazy. Did you like Tulsa King? Yeah, dude, I'm really looking forward to season 2. Oh, thanks, Terrence. So if Terrence meets Van Damme, he'll tell him to go on my channel. Awesome. Hey, it's Brock. What's up, man? Look what I'm drinking, dude. Brock is he's a Force Form dude too. And he turned me on to these products, and I've been using them consistently for like 7 months or something. It's the only supplements I use for good reason, because the highest quality ingredients, plus they're freaking delicious, man. So it's good stuff. If I get Seagal on, can I pitch him my thought of having him and Van Damme do a movie together? That would be an interesting response. Yeah, I'll ask him for sure. And I'm sure like 1,000 other people have asked him, but I will add to that pile of people asking him. They should do something together. I'm waiting for the Stallone interview. Yeah, me too. Get John Paul Daly on. He wants to come on. Yeah, if you're talking about like the Bellator fighter, right? Like, if he's amazing. Viking Samurai, Universal Soldier, or Maximum Risk? Ooh, that's a tough question, man. Like, those are both really good. I'd say Universal Soldier, though I do really like Maximum Risk. Wolf Status Ricardo. Oh, thanks for the dollar super sticker. Yeah, John Little. That would be a cool guy to get on for sure. Brandon, do you have another martial arts you would like to get into? You mean like as far as training? I will tell you what I will be doing. Like, I'm going all in hardcore on boxing because I wanted to look. I only trained with Tim one day, and man, I know us working together, like we would be incredible, you know. So I will adopt that Philly shell and that overhand right, you know. We're gonna do something big. I'm not gonna talk about it too much right now, but we got big plans, man. Us working together would be insane. Yeah, if I meet up with Seoul like Jesse Inkamp did, that would be awesome, man. No doubt. Glad humans recognize you. Yeah, that's a good thing. Oh yeah, the of course, Brock, the orange sunrise, man. Like if you guys like order the, I mean, you can't go wrong, man. Even the blue raspberry is great. The what they have? They have a really good lime one too. But everybody, for whatever reason, loves this one. Well, not for whatever reason. This one's freaking really good. So, if you guys gonna try out this energy drink, try this flavor. You know, before it's sold out. This is the one that's gonna sell out, and you can't get it probably. Are you really going to be involved in a big money purse with Decca Heggie from UK? I don't know, man. Like, we got to make sure this event is actually happening. And then we got like a lot of fighters in mind. And yes, we do want bare knuckle, you know, matches. So he could very well be involved, but, you know, we got to get this event like locked down first, regardless. JD, when you getting Van Dam on? Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know, including myself. Can you confirm that Heggie has a $100,000 fight contract, as he is telling everyone on YouTube that he has, and our partners with Karate Morty? Like, we really can't talk about much stuff, and he shouldn't be either, man. So I don't know why everybody's saying he's saying that. I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. Well, you can't buy these in the store, man. You got to order them. Well, maybe some stores have them, but you really want to order them online through the firstform.com website. Yeah, I missed them by one day. It's crazy. Oh, Terrence, how's your brother and family doing? They're doing really well, man. So my brother is about to have a son. I'm already an uncle, so I do have a niece, but I'm gonna have a nephew, and that's gonna be really cool in the next couple of months. So he's obviously, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, stress related to having a kid, right? But overall, I'd say they're doing really well. They're doing really good. Oh, yeah, Robert Samuels. Ron told me about that, you know. So you just directed Ron Hall in a film in Mexico. He spoke very highly of me. Hope to meet you one day. I'm sure we'll meet one day. And yeah, Ron, I was going to do a live video just before I left to do Warrior Island, and we were going to talk about, you know, the film that he's doing, and also like some, I think like event or convention that he was involved with. Looks like Joe's calling. Yeah,
Yeah, it keeps buffering, and I see you flash up for a moment with 3 words, and then goes back to buffering. So let's do it with the phone.
yeah, we'll do it with the phone. 1 second, I'll just catch up the rest of the comments. There's barely any left.
Sure, thank you.
Boxing, this is good. Beat the crap out of that clown, Jake Paul. Dude, who wouldn't want that fight, man? So after the first opponent I have, I'll tell you the whole plan I have. So I have all these projects coming out next year, the stuff that I'm filming, including something I'm filming in September, which is going to be really fun. And then at that point, because these are action related, you know, pretty big roles in all these things, I can say I'm a quote martial art movie star, and I will say, well, I'm going to be the one that's going to do a real fight, and it'll be a celebrity boxing match, and we'll have a good opponent. So after that fight, I'll call out a big name. So who knows, man? Like that's not that far fetched that I could get a fight like that as the channel and the name and the celebrity rises, right? It's not that far fetched, man. That's the big dream that I'd love to do, because I want to do stuff that you're technically not supposed to do when you're 40. You're not supposed to just be like an action movie star. You're not supposed to just fight like an ex-professional fighter if you haven't had like a professional fight. Like you're not supposed to do that, but I'm going to do that. That's the plan. Any update on the Don fight with Tong Po? Again, it all has to do with this big event that I'm putting together with the team. And I'll just say there's some really good people, some solid people on this team. One of the guys specifically had already put on like huge, like pro heavyweight boxing fight. So he knows what he's doing. We definitely got the right people involved. Uh, Interview someone in the art of Lima Lama Polynesian art. Oh, what's funny? So there's a script I wrote, and that martial art, believe it or not, is actually featured in it. Funny enough, which nobody talks about, but that's why I wanted to put it in there and give it some exposure. Anyway, a lot more comments, but we should get on this thing with. All right, Joe, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, let's do this the best we can, and give us most of us only really know about or heard about the Black Dragon Fighting Society, because of Bloodsport. And of course, Frank Dukes is the undefeated heavyweight Kumite champion, right? So give us some history about, if somebody doesn't know, and a lot of us don't, what is the Black Dragon Fighting Society exactly?
Okay, well, in regards to Frank Dukes, he doesn't didn't utilize the Black Dragon Fighting Society. If you watch the film, he mentions the Kurukai,
okay,
and which Ko is black, Ru is dragon, and Kai is place. So there's no mention of fighting society. He mentions just the Kodokai as an organization, the International Fighting Arts Association. That's what he alludes to and mentions in Bloodsport. And also originally in the article in Black Belt Magazine. Now, when you look back, the Kodokai was for lack of a better term, a Japanese military organization put together by various members of the Japanese military as a ultra right-wing organization. They were also placed in regards to attempting to bring Japan back to its former glory after its defeat to the Allied forces in World War II. So that's what's in reference to Kodokai. Now, the Black Dragon Fighting Society, however, was created by John Kean, later to be known as Count Juan Rafael Dante. And he put this organization together in the 1960s, and I believe it was due to certain Chinese martial arts societies that were known, such as the Green Dragon Fighting Society, with the Black Cobra Hall, which he had an incident with in the Dojo Wars. But this was his way of having a listing, an organization that he created that was to oversee various Chinese martial arts. As a matter of fact, I have the World's Deadliest Fighting Secret, the original edition by Count Dante, right in my hands. Cool. And there's a page that talks about the Black Dragon Fighting Society. Okay. Hang on one second. Give me a moment here. And in the book, and it's really more of a pamphlet than a book, but so it states the following. The Black Dragon Fighting Society is a world-renowned fighting arts organization dedicated to the fighting systems of Kung Fu, Tai Chi Chuan, Chuan Fa, Kenpo, Xingyi, Pakwa, and Shaolin boxing. The secret society teaches the most savage, deadly, and terrifying arts known to man and has at its membership the world's top experts in the Oriental fistic and grappling systems. To qualify, an applicant must be a master of, or at least a high-ranking expert in one of the few acceptable Oriental defense forms. Many world-famous champions have been unable to meet the strict requirements and have failed to gain entrance or admission into the forbidden society that is sworn to the arts of death. The exact membership and training procedures are closely guarded secrets of the membership who are sworn to secrecy and joined together through their initiation ceremony of blood. Isn't that decorative?
Aren't you oh, go ahead.
I am a member of the Black Dragon Fighting Society. Yes, I am. And if you notice, in most of my bios, I don't mention it. And that was because of an incident that occurred between myself and Bill Aguiar years ago. And only recently am I mentioning it because people are asking me regarding it. and know that I did know Bill Aguiar. I did go to the Taunton death matches. I was accepted by Bill Aguiar as a member of the Black Dragon Fighting Society and as the World Karate Federation.
Real quick, Joe, how did you get in? Like, because the pamphlet kind of alludes to, it's not easy to get in, basically.
Right, and that's because of the World Karate Federation. And again, I'm gonna read this off to you, and this will explain that, and will answer that question as I will follow up with it. The World Karate Federation is a non-profit organization designed to help in the expansion of karate and related Oriental fistic arts. It acts not as an association, but as a United Nations or brotherhood of karateists to further the arts and support fellow members. The WKF is comprised of Yudanshas, black belts, and qualified instructors in such organizations and styles as the Japanese Karate Association, the Chitoru, Kyokushinkai, the International Kenpo Karate Association, which I am a member of, Gojuru, Taekwondo, Jute, which is a gentle hand Aikido founded by Woodrow Goody, Shorin-ryu, the United States Karate Association, which John Kean was the youngest fifth-degree black belt under Robert Frias, Ishin-ryu, Tai Chi Chuan, Shotokan, and Kung Fu. There are over 200 associated black belts in the WKF's many registered dojos throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, and the Far East. Their teams have amassed over 1,000 trophies and awards in international competition. And then again, a few of these titles include first professional world karate champion, 1967, which, by the way, was the tournament that John Keehan himself ran. World champion, 1963, 65, 67. World's top teams, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. Nations, USA, top team, 64. Canada's top team, 65. And international champion, 1965. So that is the basic listing in the World's Deadliest Fighting Secrets. Now, how I got involved was I met Bill Aguiar after Mr. Parker's death in 1991. He had his major studio in Fall River, Massachusetts. Now, at the peak, he had 3 studios in Fall River, Massachusetts, New Bedford, Massachusetts, and Taunton, Massachusetts, during the Kung Fu craze in the 1970s. So I was standing outside the door of his studio, just looking through the window, looking at the various photos of his students and classes. And Bill Aguiar walks right by me to go open up the studio. And he looks at me and goes, "Can I help you?" And I had actually met Bill Aguiar years before. I had a friend of mine's, Maggie Cloutier, that was interested in taking classes. And she had asked for me to accompany her. And he had this beautiful studio at the time in an old whaler's mansion in Fall River. And, I was watching what he was teaching her, and I'm going, "This is Kenpo. This is not only Kenpo. This is Ed Parker's Kenpo." Wow. Okay. So we talked for a very short time, but again, I met him years later. And the 2 words that got me in the door, Ed Parker. I had worked with Mr. Parker from 1983 until his death in 1990. Many times Mr. Parker demonstrating on me at numerous demonstrations and seminars throughout New England, and also in Pikesville, Maryland, at instructor camps, etc. So that's what got me in, because in the book Battle Axe, A Warrior's Tale by John McSweeney, the father of Irish karate, he talked about taking classes with Mr. Parker during the weekdays in the afternoon while living in California. And included in those afternoon classes was one, John Kean, who had left the USKA and had gone to train with Mr. Parker in Kenpo.
So basically, you didn't have to have a death match in order to get in the Black Dragon Fighting Society.
No, I mean,
Nothing as cool as that, right?
Well, you know what? It sells comic books, right?
Hell yeah, it does.
Where did this book originate? Where did this book originate from? In comic books. Do you know at one point, Bill Aguiar once told me that, and he had the receipts, that how much Count Dante was paying Marvel and DC and other men's magazines to have his ads. Came out to $10,000 a month.
Which would be like 100,000 these days.
You betcha.
That's
which
crazy.
means imagine the kind of money he was making off the books in order to be able to pay that out.
Wow. Crazy.
But that's what got me in the door. I had worked with Mr. Parker. I was an IKKA member, and according to the World Karate Federation, if you were an IKKA member, you were accepted into the World Karate Federation.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Like, what's the actual benefit of being a member of the the Black Dragon Fighting Society, other than like, hey, that's a cool title? Like, what's the benefit?
Well, at the time, you were able to get. They were creating manuals for different ranks. Basically, the system of Dante that was presently taught was a combination of Kodokan Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, Tracy Ed Parker, and later Tracy Kenpo. Because that's the first thing I noticed. First time I ever saw them do a class, they dropped into a meditating horse stance and close, and that was their salutation. And that was the old salutation that Ed Parker would use in the 1950s. At 6, you're doing Kenpo. And it's like the old joke either in Doonesbury or Bloom County. We have met the enemy, and they are us. So when I watch Kenpo people make fun of Count Dante and the World's Deadliest Fighting Secret book, I have to laugh. I go, dude, you know what? That one finger you're pointing at him, you got 4 others pointing at you. And that's the key. I mean, that was one of the foundation arts. Also learning poison hand strikes, which are various open hand strikes, which are basically one of the main elements of what the World's Deadliest Fighting Secret book is all about. It's various poison hand strikes. Kung Fu and Kenpo, and he just organized them in the book.
Hey, let me ask you this, man. So whatever happened to you and Bill Aguiar? You guys aren't cool anymore then?
Well, he's dead.
What? Oh, no, I mean his son. What's his son's?
Oh, no, I talked to his son now, and, because, look, simply stated, I've watched everything that's gone on with Frank Dukes and Ashita Kim and Don Miskell, and recently a person I knew, Brad Marshall. And, none of them trained long enough with Count Dante to make it worth a lick. Most of them didn't. Other people I mentioned, like Lawrence Day, you can look up on YouTube Lawrence Day going, look, I had a drinking problem at the time. I trained for like a couple of weeks with him, occasional classes, and that was it. He freely admits it himself. So, Frank Dukes, Frank Dukes was never mentioned, according to Bill Aguiar. And Bill Aguiar, simply stated, was the rightful inheritor to Count Dante's curriculum.
Okay.
If you look in 1976, there was a 3-part article written by Masaba Yu, who, by the way, is still alive, and you can ask him personally about it. He's, I believe he's 75 years old. He's one of the premier handgun experts who teaches seminars all over the world. He has the Masaba Yu method, and he's out of Florida now, originally from Massachusetts. And he did a big 3-part article, one of the longest articles, by the way, ever written in the history of Black Belt Magazine. And it's all done at Bill Aguiar's school. I find it's really funny when I see these so-called alleged Black Dragon Fighting Society members who aren't sit there and use photographs from that article, which is where? Bill Aguiar's school in Fall River, Massachusetts. Yeah, many of them can't even pronounce the guy's name. If I had a quarter for every time somebody called him Aguilar, I put a down payment on a Porsche. They can't even pronounce the man's name correctly. But the bottom line is, like, we talk about Ashita Kim. So Ashita Kim publishes The World's Deadliest Fighting Secrets illegally. And at one point, I worked for Bill Aguiar's father doing telemarketing for his studio, doing cold calls. And he mentioned about Ashita Kim. He's like, that's Ashita Kim guy. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, Joe, contact. All right. So I emailed him. So he emails me back, and he says, you've got to spend $10,000 for a death mask challenge, and you got to fly me in, and you got to pay for my hotel accommodation. And I write him back, and I go, look, I have no interest in any of that. I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm just saying that the book you publish, The World's Deadliest Fighting Secret, you publish it in its totality.
Hey, there's a phone number on the inside back cover. Why don't you call that phone number? It's been in service for the last 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I go into work for telemarketing, and Bill Ang goes, "You're never going to believe who called me." I said, "I don't know who called you." He went, "Ashita Kim." I was like, "Really? Wow, I want to sit down and listen to this." So Ashita Kim claimed that he had first met Count Dante at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in 1967, I believe it is. You can look up the year that the actual Democratic Convention was held in Chicago. But if you look at Radford Davis, is Ashita Kim's real name,
Sure.
and look at his chronological age, what was he, 10? Maybe 11?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do? Stop by the convention on his way back from Little League? Do you think that the Grandmaster Count Dante sat there and taught his deepest, darkest secrets to a preteen? So I look at this stuff, and the stories have got more holes than a colander.
Mm.
It's just, I just look at them and go, no, man, it just doesn't make sense.
So basically, Ashita Kim and Frank Dukes, just to catch everyone up to speed, as far as I know, based on what you say, they latched and connected themselves to Dr. Lawrence Day, who had a couple weeks of training with the Black Dragon Fighting Society curriculum. And then they wanted to latch on to him and say, "Oh, we're members too," basically.
Right. And let's talk about where Lawrence Day comes from. Now, ironically, he studied an art called Shaolin Do, which was brought to America by two Indonesian gentlemen, Sin Thay, and the name of his brother is eluding me right now, who, by the way, I just met last weekend at Dragon Fest. Blew my mind. Here he is with one of his top guys walking by, and went, "Oh, I might walk right up with Sin Thay." And I start going into this whole dissertation about his background and his brother and how they had learned from a person who suffered from the dog-faced boy disease, that the excessive facial hair that makes you look like an animal, like a dog, like a werewolf, and how they had come to the United States in the 1960s and got involved in tournaments and whatnot. So that was the system that Lawrence Day had rank in. That is what he studied. Mm-hmm. So his, and like I said, this is not something where I'm just throwing things in the air. No. There is an interview that is on YouTube, on the internet, where Lawrence Day clearly states how little training he had with Count Dante. Now, you want to talk to people who really trained with him, who were well-known martial arts practitioners, well, you have to mention Jimmy Jones, who unfortunately passed away recently, and Al Jean Kaluuya from the Karate Institute. Those two gentlemen were direct students and black belts from John Keane. You can also see footage of John Keane from an interview that was done on a television program that he was featured on about his world championships that he was doing. But if you look at the material, even Ashita Kim doing, quote unquote, the kata Dante, it's not a stinking kata. There is no kata associated. A kata is a pre-designed form. What it is a self-defense technique, one of many that go over a plethora of poison hand strikes, which if you know Kenpo and Kaiju Kenpo and some of these other Kenpo-based systems, you recognize many of the movements in that single technique. If you're telling me you're basing your entire system on one single technique, you're sadly mistaken. The Dante system is based on a lot more than that.
What do you think of this? This comment from JD. Black Dragons have had very bad publicity over the years because of members like Frank Dukes and Ashita Kim. Do you think that's true, or do you think people don't even give a shit about the Black Dragon Society anymore?
No, I'd agree with that. I was just reading an article recently that someone had written about Count Dante and Frank Dukes, and how they basically stated that if you look at Frank Dukes' story and you go back to read that old 3-part article in 1976 in Black Belt magazine, you'd swear he's quoting some of this stuff verbatim. That he's just a Count Dante wannabe. Now, I'm first of all, I am not sitting there and talking about what his physical training is as far as his physical ability. I've seen people look at his martial arts material and say it's a bunch of junk. I've seen other people go, no, there's some legitimate stuff. I know people that were hired by Frank Dukes to teach at his studio. Matter of fact, while we're on that topic, can I mention one thing about a person that you had mentioned to me recently, and you mentioned on one of your broadcasts recently?
Sure.
David German.
Yeah, David German fought in the Kumite according to Frank Dukes, right?
Nah, it's the other way around. You know, it's like, so I was on Gary Lee, who runs the Sport Karate Museum, one of his podcasts, and the guest was Frank Dukes. And in the conversation, I mentioned about David German. And suddenly Frank Dukes perks up, David German? I went to David German's events. And I'm sitting there saying, so what you telling me is that you based the Kumite off the tournaments that you attended that David German ran? Because they were pretty wild events back then. If you ever watched the UFC and you watched the classic example of when a boxer in the early UFCs had to fight, and a lot of people were making jokes. Why is he only wearing one glove? Ha, ha, ha. What, he couldn't afford a second one? No, because in David German's events, he would allow people to wear one boxing glove and one free hand. So if they wanted to grapple and use their jiu-jitsu skills, at least they had one hand that they could do naked strangles, chokes, wrist locks, arm bars, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the UFC and the Gracies got their idea for that, as well as several other ideas from David German's tournaments.
Okay.
And you can see an interview where Joe Jennings interviews David German and discussed this on YouTube. And it's part of a 4-volume series that were put out by Panther Productions. And I was talking recently to Don Warner and mentioning about David German and hoping that he will re-release, because he now has the rights through Black Belt Magazine to re-release the entire Panther Production videos collection. And I'm hoping that they re-release the 4 videos. But you can find the interview with him and Joe Jennings on YouTube. And he talks about that.
Okay. Hey, let me read this comment, because I do want to talk about this a little bit. Tomahawk said, the Black Dragon Fighting Society still exists under the control of Bill Aguiar, the son of Dante's successor, William V. Aguiar. And I talked to Bill, and funny enough, he really wants to fight Frank Dukes.
Oh, you would not believe.
Yeah. He wants that fight.
Yeah. He wants to give him greetings from the land of beatings. Yeah, no doubt about it. He wants to fight Dukes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
So yeah, you and Bill are pretty close, right?
We're friends. We're acquaintances now. Yeah, that took a long time. But yes.
Do you know what he's actually doing though? Like, is there like a curriculum? Is he training people? Is he just keeping the brand alive because he thinks the brand has value? Like, how active is this thing these days?
Well, again, right now there is a Black Dragon Fighting Society website. Mm-hmm. There's also I forget the address. Please accept my apologies. But if you look up Black Dragon Fighting Society store, you will see that he's doing this big mercantile endeavor, because a lot of people they love the whole story behind it. They love when they were kids to buy a copy of the World's Deadly Fighting Secrets. They love the legacy and the mystery of Count Dante. So everybody wants a Count Dante or a Black Dragon Fighting Society T-shirt, or they want it's like the classic phrase from Mel Brooks in Spaceballs. What's the secret? Merchandising. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. So if you want to get towels and duffel bags and patches and stickers and whatnot about the Black Dragon Fighting Society, he owns the rights to it.
Okay, but he's not like teaching anybody the deadly secrets these days, right?
He's still accessible to do seminars and instruct people in it. Let me tell you about Bill Aguiar Jr. So when Bill was teaching his son, you always remember the Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue?
I probably, if I heard it, I can't pull it up in my memory bank right now.
Listen to the song. It's about this guy whose father named him Sue. And because of that, he was always having to fight. He'd always have to, some guy would give him a smirk or a girl would giggle and he'd have to defend himself. And in a way, that's kind of the story with Bill Aguiar's son. Bill Aguiar wanted to make sure that no one would be able to question his son's ability to fight. So what did he do? He literally put him in every type of martial arts tournament and endeavor. This person has competed in AAU karate tournaments. He's competed in AAU taekwondo tournaments. He's competed in AAU judo tournaments. He's competed in open tournaments, including one that I ran in the city of New Bedford. He also has competed at the Black Ships Festival in sumo competition.
Wow.
He has literally he's competed in PAL boxing events. He has literally competed in every major form of fistic or grappling endeavor that was available pre-UFC and MMA.
That's why he wants to fight Frank Dukes to get a piece of the undefeated heavyweight Kumite champion.
You know what? Wouldn't that be wild debate? What happened? Well, if he's undefeated champion, I beat him. What's that make me?
Yeah, pretty damn good is what it makes him.
Yeah. But as far as that goes, but I'm clarifying this once in a while, and I'm naming names. The following individuals do not, I repeat, do not have the right nor the authorization to use the Black Dragon Fighting Society. They are Frank Dukes, Ashita Kim, Don Miskell, and recently Brad Marshall. Well, that's really shocking. Brad Marshall got involved with Miskell. And let me tell you something. I want to clarify another important point here, David. This isn't something where I'm just talking behind somebody's back. At the Action Martial Arts event, 1 year, Brian Fury brought in Ashita Kim and also Don Miskell. And I told both of these gentlemen to their face that neither one of them had the right nor the authorization to use the Black Dragon Fighting Society name.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem saying that to anyone. I am a martial arts historian. And simply stated, all things considered, hey man, I got no fish to fry.
Sure.
Because if I was really that adamant about the organization, gee, don't you think I'd mention it in all my bios and all these different books I've been in?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. But recently, because I saw these people doing this miscarriage of justice and falsely claiming to be members of Count Dante's organization and be the inheritor of the Black Dragon Fight Society, those are lies. The only person who I know for a fact has received the authorization to do so is Bill Aguiar Sr. and the inheritor of that, his son, Bill Aguiar Jr. Okay. That's it. Nobody else that I know of. The only other person that I know of that was associated with that would be Mr. John Cole and certain individuals that were black belts under Bill Aguiar over the years. One gentleman, Walter. Bill Aguiar did an updated a reprint of The World's Deadliest Fighting Secret, adding 33 more pages about the Dante system. Walter was featured prominently in the photos that were originally done with Doug Dwyer, with Count Dante, with the original text. Those are the people that really did the system. I mean, like I said, it wasn't like he was hiding. He did 3 commercial schools. If you look in old issues of Official Karate Yearbook, you will find on the East Coast, you will always see Bill Aguiar mentioned. You will see him featured, I want to say, in the 1976 Official Karate Yearbook, a full-page photo and a mention of Bill Aguiar as Count Dante's inheritor. You will see, like I said, he's been also mentioned in Official Karate's Defense Combat. There's an article, and there's been small mentions about him, and also an extensive article on him and his training. This is all available as easily as eBay, folks. This is stuff where it's hidden and not known. That's the key.
Okay. Hey, let's switch gears here because this is always a fun topic. I'm going to read this comment on it, and then I think you got a really cool story. RNK Mode said, yeah, Dukes is something else. I want to hear anyone else verifying Dukes' story on him saving Steven Seagal from being killed. So I had that story on my channel with Frank telling it, also with Sheldon Lettich chiming in about it. Amazing video. And I do plan to interview Seagal in the future and talk about that. Speaking of Steven Seagal, though, don't you have a really cool Steven Seagal story?
Oh, yeah. So many years ago, there was a gentleman who brought the art of Aikido to New Bedford, Massachusetts. His name, Jack Leonardo. Originally, it's Joaquin Leonardo, but he used Jack. So he started Aikido in the city of New Bedford. He used to have a little accordion shop, and he used to sell York weight training equipment, bear bows for bear archery, and he taught accordion lessons. The little place used to be called the Squeeze Box. So he had read an issue of Iron Man magazine. And besides articles by Ed Parker and Kenpo, there was an article on Aikido. And Jack, who was a man in his 40s at that time, he was doing weight training and power training at a place called Georgia Gym in the south end of the city. This guy, George Weil. But anyway, he saw Aikido, and it was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
He had never seen anything like it. So he decided to get involved in Aikido, eventually training with a gentleman, Kisumaru Kanai, who ran the New England Aikikai in Boston. So Kanai Sensei would get involved with University of Massachusetts, and he would have a summer Aikido camp there. Well, I was studying Aikiken and Aikijo, the Aiki weapon arts with Sensei. And I hadn't started yet, but I would come and visit his dojo, and I'd sit down and watch the classes. And we developed a fast friendship, and he actually ended up becoming the best man at my wedding.
Oh, cool.
Because he was the best man. He was a master. He lived the master's path, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they ended up becoming camp, and I'd never been to an Aikido camp before. So I talked to one of the people that was going to the camp, and I said, "Can I go?" I was like, "You want to go, Joe?" "Yeah." "Is that okay?" I was just a teenager. I was, So I go to the event, and I noticed there's one gentleman who's very tall, towering over most people that were there at the event. His name, Steven Seagal.
Mm. And
if I'm not mistaken, he was with his female Aikido instructor. And I'm just blanking out on her name. Oh, gosh.
That was like his first wife, right?
That was his first wife, yes. Yeah. Yes. So he had trained, I believe, with her father, if I'm not mistaken, and definitely with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's where his start in Aikido was. So, I didn't know. This is long before he was ever on Merv Griffin. And for those people who don't know what I'm talking about, there used to be a TV show called Merv Griffin, and a young Steven Seagal, who at the time was teaching Mr. Ortiz, I want to say, who was like the head of Warner Brothers at that time. And he was like, "Yeah, we got to make you a star."
Well, you guys can watch that Merv Griffin Seagal. I think it's from the early 80s on YouTube. I found the video. Like, he's incredible in that video.
You bet. And working with his top uke, who was with him for many years.
Sure.
Matter of fact, locally here in my area, there's a gentleman, John Aruda. He's trained with Sensei Leonardo and later associated himself with Steven Seagal and is one of his Tenshin dojos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my Steven Seagal story.
Yeah. Before he was the big movie star. That's
It was
cool.
no big deal. I was like a kid. I was a teenager. And it's like at the World's Deadliest Fight, at the Taunton Death Matches. I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenager who trained with gentleman Ed Hosmer with the United Studios of Self-Defense. Ed had left, and there was another gentleman from the Brockton studio for United Studios named John Foster. He trained with a gentleman by the name of Larry Mangoni, and he competed in the event. Also, Sensei Leonardo did a demonstration in Aikido. Fred Hamilton from New York had brought his Karate Wonder kids to do a demo. I remember Bill Massarelli, who trained directly with Nick Serio, and also had gone with him to go train with Professor Chow in Hawaii, getting into the middle of the ring and challenging Dante right there. And Dante just sat there in his chair, never got up, never recognized him and whatnot. And eventually, but those were, like I said, I was there. Was I a big player in it? Of course not. I was a little kid, man. I was a teenager. What the heck?
Sure.
But I was there.
Let me ask you this, man. JD had commented, if possible, please ask Kenpo Joe about his thoughts, if any, on Fred Villari. And then he continues, I have a black belt on Shaolin Kenpo karate and have been made fun of in the past because Villari is considered a fraud. Do you know anything about Fred Villari?
You betcha, plenty.
Okay, let's hear it, man.
Fred Villari started martial arts in the 1960s along with his friend Rudy Horn. He trained directly with Nick Serio. Nick Serio originally trained with George Passari, who brought Kenpo Karate to New England. Nick Serio originally was a auto mechanic in Boston and trained with George Passari and got his black belt in the George Passari system, which was basically the foundation art. It's an art called Kara Zempo Goshin Jitsu, which I certified as a 5th degree black belt and an instructor by Victor Gascon. Originally, his first name is Hilaron. It's interesting. Both Victor Gascon, or Sonny was his nickname, and David German both hated their first names.
Oh, okay.
Again, Gascon's first name was Hilaron, and David German's first name was Alvin.
Mm.
So neither one of them ever really used that name because it would made fun of.
Sure.
When you're a kid, children can be cruel. Oh, Hilaron! Oh, isn't that hilarious? And on top of that, like the thumb breaker from On the Waterfront, Sonny Gascon suffered from a speech impediment, so he felt very awkward at times.
Sure.
But it was just a wonderful human being, very blessed to know him. So anyway, back to New England Kenpo. So Nick Serial then teaches Fred Villari. He promotes Fred Villari all the way up to second degree black belt. And at that point, Fred then, when Nick Serial says, I'm going to move down to Florida. And it's like, well, what about us? Well, you do fine, man. So he moves down there. He's like, let's open this dojo. I want to open a Nick Serial's dojo.
Mm-hmm.
It's down in Florida right now. Well, let's open a place. They open one place in Waltham, one place in Dedham. And they start teaching what they've learned. So Nick then Florida came back. And he's like, and so Fred contacted, we get these 2 schools. And I want to be, Nick Serial. So they have to, what do you mean you opened up 2 schools? Why don't you contact me? Now I'm back in the area. What's going on? So they have a big falling out. So Fred and Rudy decide to, since they've got 2 studios, these 2 studios are united. And what are they teaching? Well, they're teaching self-defense. So United Studios of Self-Defense. And that's how all that started. And then later on, Fred Villari would work with various individuals in Chinese Kung Fu and different martial arts. The last art he claimed was Mongolian boxing. And I'm like, with Mongolian martial arts, I think was that. My personal opinion, I think it was due to the popularity of the TV series Marco Polo. I'm just saying. I can't confirm nor deny that fact. But anyway, so he franchised, this is what I say. Ed Parker brought Kenpo Karate to America, but the Tracys franchised it. George Basari and Nick Serial brought Kenpo Karate to New England, but Fred Villari and the subsequent other individuals like Charlie Matera franchised it.
Okay.
And later, instead of Kenpo Karate with an N, he would change the name to Shaolin Kenpo with an M. Shaolin for the Chinese orientation of the Kung Fu systems, Kenpo to the Japanese influence of the arts. If you do numbered combinations or later defense maneuvers, numbers 1 through 30, you do Karazenpo Goshin Jutsu. If you do 1 through 6 kata from the Shaolin Kenpo system, you do Karazenpo Goshin Jutsu.
Mm-hmm.
If you do 1 through 5 pinyon from Fred Villari's orientation, and again, Fred Villari Studios, United Studios on down, you are doing Nick Serial's Kenpo, because Nick Serial was the person that put those particular forms into that particular curriculum.
Okay.
So, simply stated, Fred Villari has been one of the most prolific franchise schools for the arts of Kenpo and Kenpo from the New England Kenpo Foundation in the United States and abroad. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Abroad, the biggest one, people say, what's the biggest Kenpo? It's Shorinji Kenpo. Not only they're a martial art, they're the 4th biggest religion in Japan. But that's the orientation of Fred Villari. Now, my Fred Villari's picture hangs on my wall. I interviewed Fred Villari in 1994 at the World Max 94. Most of the 9 dragons all know me. I've met with them. We've spoken about the legacy, so I was just a while back, I just spoke on the phone with Charlie Matera. I have an old article from him back from the 1970s when he received his 4th degree from Fred Villari through the old Defender newspaper magazine that United Studios used to put out. So it's not like, okay, these people don't know me, they don't know you, no. I'm very prolific, and I just want people to know where they come from. I'm a historian. I want to pass along the history. That's all.
For sure. Yeah. I think JD is probably very satisfied with that answer.
I hope so.
Hey, here's a comment from
service.
Yeah. Here's a comment from Pure Technique. Kenpo Joe, I just want to say hello, fellow Kenpo brother. My first instructor was Mike Pick, and I also trained in JSK 5.0, Jeff Speakman Kenpo 5.0. But I've always loved watching your videos, sir.
Well, first of all, thank you for the comment. I got a Mike Pick story for you. So Mike Pick, for those of you who don't know, and this is not an aspersion toward Mike, it's a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was always considered one of the animals of Kenpo. You fed him raw meat and sicked him on people. He was a Vietnam vet. We have a famous story in Kenpo why we do what's called a cover step. And Mike Pick was in Vietnam, and he was engaged in hand-to-hand combat with a VC. They both ran out of ammo. And as he squared off with one VC, he heard a noise behind him. And instead of just turning around, he did the Kenpo cover step, which means he took his front foot, he stepped off the line and turned it, and saved his life because a Viet Cong soldier was coming in with a bayonet to stab him in the back. And because he had turned, it grazed the side of his body, as opposed to stabbing him dead in the spine.
Wow.
So we're at a seminar that Mr. Dan Dionfro, at the time was involved with American Kenpo International, had brought in Mike Pick to do a seminar. And I had always heard about what heavy hands Mike Pick had. Mm-hmm. I pride myself in being hit by some of the deadliest human beings on the planet. Ed Parker has a phrase: to hear is to doubt, to see is to be deceived, to feel is to believe. I was very blessed and fortunate many times over the course of 7 years that Mr. Parker got to demonstrate on me. He hit me with heel palms. He chopped me with knife hands. He broke a pair of nunchaku on my face like 6 months before he died at a seminar in Connecticut. I got to work with David German. I got cranked. I got wrist locked. I got armbarred. You really want to see an interesting video? Watch David German demonstrating the Thai hurricane on me. Somebody said, "Oh, it's real funny. You're making all those funny noises, just helping him along." I go, "I'm not helping him. He's cranking me. It hurts like hell." I'm like, the Jeff Dunn line, hurts like hell. There's only one time I fake it is because he almost did reverse. He almost did proctology and stuck the crook of the crane up my butt. Other than that, all the screams are very real.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I've been left hooked by Marvis, Marvel, and Hagler.
Wow.
I've been kicked in the head by Bill Superfoot Wallace, and I take great pride in those experiences because to feel you believe, there's no doubt. You feel it, you hit it, you know it, you got popped.
Hey, here's a follow-up comment from Pure Technique. He said, "My father was in Vietnam with Mr. Pick. That's how I met him. Thank you for the story."
Oh, well, let me finish the Mike Pick story. So anyway, we're in Dartmouth at the seminar, and at one point, Mr. Pick asked for a volunteer. You know that joke where everybody else takes a step back?
Sure.
Wants to volunteer. I'm like 2 steps forward. Yeah, pop me. I've been hearing this about my whole life in Kenpo. Hit me, man. I'm like, I want to feel this. And he does, there's a classic technique, and you see it occasionally, like in spy movies in the 60s and whatnot. Another gentleman, Gordon Dovasola from Okinawa Tay, I worked with his top student, a gentleman by the name of Michael Pacina. He taught the fight scene, did the fight scene, choreographed fight scene in The Manchurian Candidate, also in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., also in the series Honey West from the 60s. But anyway, there's a particular movie, and you'll also see William Shatner, who, by the way, studied Kenpo and was featured on the second or third issue of Fighting Stars magazine, which is a classic double knife hand to the trapezius muscle, which connects the neck to the shoulders and the upper back. So Mike Pick parries me, wham! My arms go dead. Now, David, when I say my arms go dead, I'm not talking for like 3 to 5 seconds. I lift my arms, everything's fine. No, we're talking 2 minutes.
Wow.
2 minutes is a stinking lifetime, right?
Oh, sure.
You poke somebody in the eye in the UFC, how long they got to recover? 5 minutes, an entire round.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes is an eternity. At that point, simply stated, he could have killed me quite easily.
Yeah.
And I thought like that was the coolest thing in the world because I'd already seen it. I'd seen people do that shot, but had never experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ed Parker Jr. We did a seminar, and he had been working with Ron Chappelle, and we were at an Ed Parker Memorial event in Las Vegas. And so Edmund calls me up, and I call him Edmund. Edmund's my friend. He is just a martial artist. He's not just Ed Parker's son. He's my friend. I will always, as long as I live, consider Ed Parker Jr., Edmund, my friend. So anyway, he does this technique with pressure points. He hits me in what's called Heart 5. And my right arm goes dead. And Edmund turns and I starts continuing on with the seminar. I'm standing there, and my right arm just hanging dead to the world. And I'm going, Edmund, 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 what? Fix this! And my arm's hanging there. Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. So am I. Fix it. So uses you basically you realign the meridians by brushing down. It reactivates it. It also reactivates the nerve endings, and my hand starts to work again. But so when I talk about this stuff, no, man, I've had it done to me. You know, we talk about people like Paul Mills and his strike from the AKKI. That guy did that diagonal hammer fist that struck lightning from my solar plexus down my left leg and out my left heel. I know this stuff works. Why? They did it to me. You know?
Speaking of which, quick question. Tom Hawk wants to know, Marvelous Hagler. Oh, wait, hang on. No, he had another comment. Hang on. I think somebody was asking. Oh, here we go. Blank name. How did you meet Hagler to get punched by him?
Yep. So, gentleman Julio Andrade was running a boxing smoker at the Wareham, Massachusetts Recreational Center. My Taekwondo and Taichuan instructor, John Gabriel, who later would become the coach of Team Pepsi in Florida, originally lived in Wareham, was born and raised in Wareham, Massachusetts. His brother Chris went to Brockton High School with Marvin. So I was taking my class with John Gabriel, etc., and then Chris had brought Marvin in to check out the venue and whatnot. So I walked up to his brother Chris. I said, "Look, I have a question. First of all, could you introduce me to Mr. Hagler?" You know, so he introduced me. I said, "Mr. Hagler," and I introduced myself, explained this. I said, "This may seem a very strange question, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy for asking it, but I've watched your career, and I've watched that incredible left hook you have. Sir, I've had many famous martial artists hit me and strike me." And this was early. This was like 1981, so I hadn't met Ed Parker yet. I hadn't met David German yet. But I had met with Bill Wallace. And so I sat there and I said, "Sir, would you be willing to hit me with that left hook?" To which Marvin Hagler goes, Are you beeping nuts, kid?" And it was like, and Chris looks and goes, look, Marvin, I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds like he's a nut job, but look, this kid he trains martial arts with my brother. He's always training with different martial arts. He's like, he's seriously asking you. You really want me to hit you? Yeah. Well, dude, if I break my hand on your face, you know what? You know how many millions I'm out from doing a punk match with? Well, sir, I would put on headgear, and if you are willing to put on, we would wrap your hand and put on whatever I can do to accommodate you. You're serious about this? Yeah. Chris, yeah, he's serious. What the heck? I don't get this ass off it. So, puts on a boxing glove. I put on headgear. He says, "You sure you want to do this, kid?" He says, "Yeah, I'm serious, sir. I'm not trying to be arrogant or egotistical, sir. It's nothing to do with that. Just to really know what it's like to have you hit." And actually, I've felt that. And whatever happens to me, sir, it's what happens to me. It's all on me.
Sure.
Okay. Stand up. 1, 2, boom! So the world spins. My head plays pinball inside. My brain plays pinball inside my head. My eyes start to roll up into my head. My knees buckle. My arms drop. And I'm in loopy land for like a few moments. When I recover, I didn't go down, by the way.
Okay.
But, sir, may I ask the question? Another one? Sure, kid. What? How hard did you hit me? About half. Half? Wow! Half! Holy guacamole, Batman. Half. Meow wow.
Half was more than enough, man.
It really isn't all that exciting or impressive, but it was just I was lucky he even did it. I was like, you allowed me to do it. Take the shot,
Yeah, and 40 years later, you're still telling the story.
Darn Skippy, and I know what day it is, and I have a 162 IQ and a photo-identic memory that still works, so I consider that a plus.
Yeah. Thankfully, he didn't hit you at full. You might have lost some of that, but
watching him in the Hearns fight, I'm like going, I know, and man, I don't envy you at all. And you go, whoa, why did Oscar, because I wouldn't want to get hit with that. He fought his game, not Marvin's.
Hey, here's a question, man. Always a great topic for my show. JD's asking, Kenpo Joe, thoughts on Van Damme's martial arts legitimacy?
Okay, here's my Van Damme story. So at the time, The Quest was out, and Van Damme was doing a tour promoting the art. So I have and still have my TV show, Martial Arts Today Television, which alluding to the earlier comment, by the way, Jeff Speakman was my first episode over 34 years ago. It'll be 35 years this October that we've been on the air. We're now in 9 major cable systems, over 1 million households, and also YouTube exclusive extended episodes.
Nice.
So going back to your question, what was the question again? Sorry.
Thoughts on Van Damme's martial arts legitimacy?
He was, I forget what hotel he was at, but he was doing a press junket, and you're familiar with press junkets. You go to the event, you meet with the star. There's 423 journalists. They're all going to ask the same question. So I go there, and I'm like one of the last people. There's me and a guy from, I believe, the Boston Globe. And so I go in, and we're only supposed to 5 minutes only. That's what we're told. 5 minutes. That's it. Okay. So I start talking to him, and I mentioned about his early career in kickboxing. And kickboxing is a general overall term for all forms of sparring, including point fighting. And he was a provincial championship under Van Derenberg. And he's going, wait, you know that? Yeah, you trained, and I named the instructors, and every once in a while I have a senior moment. I'm blanking out. I knew both of the instructors' name and had contacted one of them.
Claude Goetz?
Yeah.
That guy? That's his main instructor, I think, Claude Goetz.
But there's another one as well. There's two. But I believe it was Claude Goetz. So I had his information, and I had his phone number. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Jean-Claude did not have it or could not find it and whatnot. And he says, oh, yeah, you know about this? So we were talking, and he's like, oh, yeah, I've been trying to contact him. I go, I got his phone number. What? I got his phone number. You want it? And he's like, oh, I'd love that. That'd be wonderful. So we ended up doing 15 minutes. So I come out, and the guy from Boston Globe, like, well, 5 minutes, huh? I said, hey, I knew what to ask, and I knew information that he wanted to know.
Sure.
It was that simple. Well, let's do it. But yeah, so that's the only time I've met Jean-Claude Van Damme. Never got to work out with him, but he was a provincial champion. He is a legitimate black belt, whether people like it or not, or don't want to admit it. Obviously, he was also considered legitimate enough that Chuck Norris used to have him work out with him when he had his studio. That's true. He is a man who lived in his native, it's Austria or Belgium. I always forget which one. But in his native land, he opened California Gym.
In Belgium, for sure.
Yeah, he'd have a poster of his future wife on his wall, and he'd tell his friends, "I'm going to marry her one day, Gladys Portuguese," and he did.
Yeah.
But he is a legitimate martial artist, and anyone who says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. If you talk to him, there are people that have taken classes with him and worked out with him, taken private lessons with him. Talk to John Bennett, who's a Kenpo guy. It blew my mind one day.
James Bennett. I've talked to James Bennett. I know he works out with Van Damme when Van Damme's in California.
You bet. One day I see Jean-Claude Van Damme in a salt and blood, peppered blood, which is a black top, red bottom. Kenpo karate on it, wearing a black belt with in 3-strap. I'm going, what the blue hell is that? He never mentioned Kenpo, and it was James' outfit. It was James' gi that he was with. But yeah, and they worked out together, and you can ask me a little more about Jean-Claude Denai. I'm actually, if it's put it out there into the universe, I have a friend of mine. His real name's Julian, but a lot of people know him as All Ego Ethan Page from AEW. And I would give anything. He is a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. He is a huge toy collector, a professional wrestler for AEW. I would give anything if I could get Jean-Claude Van Damme just to talk to him, just even on the phone for like a minute. It'd mean the world to me.
Sure.
If anyone there has the way and connections to do that, please contact me. It's not about me. It's just doing something for someone who affected this man's life so much. He even did a wrestling gimmick called the Karate Man, which he based on Jean-Claude Van Damme's character in Bloodsport and in Kickboxer. And I'd just like to do something nice like that for him because he's a cool guy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could definitely get his contact info for. Well, I'll message you later after this. Hey, here's a question. Salvatore Spano, Kenpo Joe, thoughts on Jeff Speakman's movie career?
Well, first of all, Jeff's done several films. The Perfect Weapon should have been his breakthrough film.
And in some ways it was, because he was offered like Speed and all this other stuff. I think it was Mark DeSalle who kind of, ruined things for him from what I heard.
Right. And he talks about that. I believe he did an interview with you regarding that.
I need to interview him. He's been on some other channels, and I do have his contact info. Actually, that reminds me, I got to get him on my channel, man. So
yeah, you definitely have to. He'll do it. Great person. As a matter of fact, like I said, he was on the first episode of my TV show.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Didn't tell him he was gonna be the first show, but I had first met Jeff at the Hard Rock Cafe in Boston, where he was doing a promo seminar and demonstration for the Perfect Weapon. And we had a mutual friend who is a black belt of Larry Tatum, and I walked up to Jeff and I mentioned that person's name. He goes, grab my arm. You know what the guy? You know that? Yeah, I know about that guy. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. Yeah, I know. But I said, but it got you to get out of the chair and talk to me, didn't it? He goes, yeah, it did. But that's how I first met Jeff. And then I met him, a gentleman, Ed Wilson from Rhode Island, brought Jeff in to do a seminar. And that's when he was still associated with him and Brian Hawkins with the United Kenpo Systems before he created the UKKS. But yeah, so I met him and talked to him, got to know him, and did the interview, and it worked out great. And again, yet another thing, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch on YouTube. Yeah. And I also have all the videos on Kenpo 5.0 and Jeff's incorporation of it. And there's a funny story about the Kenpo gathering at Eagles in Las Vegas. And Jeff's on stage for the event. He's mentioning, I'm the first person to combine Kenpo and grappling. And I look at his business manager, Kathy Little, who is a third-degree black belt, if I'm not mistaken, in David German's Thai, and trained with Ralph Anderson at the David German at the White Tiger Studios in Las Vegas. So after that, I walk up to her, first person to blend Kenpo and Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, I'll talk to Jeff later about that. I was like, but I love Jeff. He's great people. I've never had a problem with him. I'm really glad on what he's doing with 5.0. And simply stated, he is one of the, if not the most prolific Kenpo organizations in the United States. Look at his event in Las Vegas. Look at the camp he runs. Look at the people who've been there. Everybody from Gene LaBelle to Benny Urquidez to my friends Dennis Laxon to all these different individuals, famous martial artists. And he really is really showing his own path. Eventually he's recently been finally promoted to 10th degree black belt, and rightfully so for how he's perpetuated his particular version of Kenpo 5.0, the fifth version of Kenpo in relationship to blending Kenpo and Jiu-Jitsu and grappling and weapon arts as well. His double knife form and his double cloak form, etc.
For sure. And speaking of Jeff, Perry Fan 49, he said, I wish Jeff Speakman could have been in the last Kumite. Would have been awesome. So I don't know if the producer Sean even reached out to him, because it would have been definitely cool to get guys like Speakman, Philip Ree. We had obviously amazing martial arts in there. I think he was even trying to get Don Wilson, but they got Muhammad and Abdel Kisi, Matthias Hughes, Billy Blank, Cynthia Rothrock, Kurt McKinney. So maybe in the sequel to The Last Kumite, we could get all these other guys in there.
You never know. And simply nowadays, it's Hollywood. Can you afford them? And that's what you say. If people on the twilight of their career, it's a lot easier to get them than someone who's like, gee, I want Jason Stratham in it, or I want, Jet Li in it, or I want, Tony Jaa. Though you might be able to get Tony Jaa these days, but you never know. Who knows? But that's what we're talking about. You don't know if you don't ask, and you don't know if they asked, and you don't know if the price was reasonable enough that they could do it, and make it worth their while.
Yeah, and if somebody really likes the project, they'll even take less pay, if they really believe in the project. Usually if it's like a passion project or something that somebody's putting together. Yeah. So the last Kumite, Stephen Williams made a comment here. Viking Samurai has been in a Kumite now. Last Kumite looks amazing. And if you guys want to see it, as far as I know, it'll come out in March or April of next year. And I'm really curious to see how it all comes together, man. Post-production, the editing, the music, everything else. I had such a blast doing it.
Well, you literally have been the cool part is, David, when did you start watching martial arts movies? How old?
Oh, man. I started watching them before I even knew who Van Damme was, because I remember in the 80s, I was watching No Retreat, No Surrender. And because Van Damme, I didn't know anything about Bloodsport at the time. He was just like the evil villain, I think, Ivan the Russian. And like I was more impressed with Kurt McKinney, and they're doing the backflip and kicking him. And then like later after Bloodsport and everything, then I revisited that. I was like, oh, damn, that's Van Damme as the villain in that. So, I started watching martial arts films, in the 80s, and then really fell in love with them. And basically they became part of my life, especially when I got heavily involved in about 1993, heavily involved in my training. I first started out in judo, funny enough, in like the mid 80s, but it wasn't something that I really wanted to do. It was more like my parents made me do it, did it for about a year. But then later in middle school, it was like, okay, I'm a smaller kid. There's bullies. I feel threatened. I got to start lifting weights and doing martial arts. So I am comfortable when I'm at school, and it was great. I never looked back.
I can definitely relate. That's how I started. Was doing father-son horseplay when I was 7, and then later got involved. And my dad would teach me, because at that time, that particular dojo, they wouldn't accept children. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't accept women. It was Masayama's Kyokushin, the man who killed 52 bulls in his lifespan with his bare hands. A man who every summer would go up into the mountains and punch the side of a tree 500 times till the bark died.
Hardcore. No wonder why no women or children were allowed.
So, I started with studios in 1974. Yeah, because it had to be that, because I went to taught death matches. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there were people involved from USSD that were participating. But in regards to the martial arts training, did you ever think that you would actually be participating in not one but 2 different film variations of the Kumite?
It's interesting. Like, it's definitely something I've always wanted to do, and being part of the last Kumite, I'm more than a fighter in that movie. Like, when you guys check out the movie, I can't really say much, but it's pretty important character. Like, I'm literally doing acting scenes with like Matthias Hughes and Billy Blanks and, Attila from Lionheart, Abdel Kisi. I can't really say much, but I'm a lot more than a fighter in there.
Right,
but the fights were really fun. We had a great fight card for Mike Muller. And then doing Warrior Island, like,
Michael Muller's awesome.
Oh, he's great. He's such a nice guy. Like, even we had one day off and I went to the gym. We trained together, man. So for me, it's like, it's such a amazing experience because everybody's so cool just on set, behind the scenes, same with Warrior Island. I give the creator, I give the creator, James Jefferson, a ton of credit for putting all that together. And we got all the martial art masters like Stephen K. Hayes, so many others, too many to name. Ron Van Cleef is amazing, man. Such a nice guy. Love hanging out with him. Love talking to him. He's a legend for so many reasons. And then I got to fight Silvio Simic. Like, I can literally say, hey, like, I could put myself, like, Scott Adkins fought him, Jet Li fought him, Jason Statham fought him, I fought him. He fought so many great people. So just being able to like work with them, and we came up with the choreography with Bill, our choreographer, Bill Pugh, great guy, another great guy. And then
very cool.
I'll tell you the coolest thing though, man. Well, there's so many cool things, but definitely a highlight for me So Sheldon Lettich came out to be an observer because he is associated with Warrior Island. He is writing the feature film script. What I filmed was like the mini series, but the big budget feature film, Sheldon Lettich is involved. But anyway, long story short, right after Dragon Fest, he gets on a plane, comes out to Warrior Island as an observer, kind of see everything going on. And he really started getting back into that director mode. So we had a great director, Mike Felker, great guy. You know, all these people, like, I mean, I'm keeping in contact with all these people because I get along with them so well, you know. So it wasn't just like, oh, I met him once. Like I'm building like real relationships in the network because of all these, you know, projects.
Amen for networking. Amen for networking.
Yeah. And
I saw Sheldon at Dragon Fest, and you know.
Yeah, you just seen him. Yeah, Dragon Fest, and then he came out for Warrior Island. But so he was only going to stay there for a couple days, but ended up staying the whole week when he got there. And the crazy thing for me, the coolest thing was that I could say he directed me because I had like this big monologue scene and Sheldon was there and he was kind of giving me some suggestions, right? He's like, hey, David, try it like this, you know, and I took those suggestions, right? How could I not? And then like, all I know is like, he gave me the Sheldon Lettich thumbs up approval. He was like, oh, it's really good. That's really good. So
nice.
It's so incredible. Like again, going with the Civil Simics thing, I could say, you know, I fought him too, just like Jet Li and Jason Statham and Scott Adkins did. And then like, I could literally say I got directed by Sheldon Lettich, just like Van Damme and Mark Dacascos did. It's like, I'm living the dream, man, right now. It's crazy.
Exactly. No doubt about it. Now I have one question. So did they do so they've done the principal photography and filming for the entire miniseries?
As far as I know, I mean, they were shooting, 2 units were shooting simultaneously the entire time, up to 4 cameras at a time. So there is a lot of really good coverage. So Mike and his son Scotty have to put all that together. You know, I mean, I couldn't imagine how many hours of footage they're going to have to go through, but I think they're going to put together something really nice because I know they filmed enough. So many great fights. We had a lot of real fighters there, like real MMA fighters. Like I even posted a fun little, you know, match against Jimmy Justice, bare knuckle boxer. He's in the BKFC UK. And I posted that on YouTube, by the way, though I did it as like a member video because I added like a membership thing. If you guys want to help support me and get some exclusive content, check out the YouTube memberships. That's something I actually launched today. And I'll be giving a lot more cool exclusive stuff. But anyway, I had to plug myself there real quick.
Like, subscribe, hit the notification button.
Of course. But yeah, man, it's just been a crazy adventure. You know, if you think about like these are all seeds I planted years ago. Seeds that I planted years ago that I'm able to harvest. And it's been a long time coming. But with all these projects, I felt great because they always say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And in some capacity, I've literally been preparing for 20 years ever since I went to film school. And just I never had the network though back then, but now through the YouTube channel, I have the network. And big things are happening, man. Like literally, I'm going to be shooting in California next month. It's going to be a really cool movie. And I'm the lead in that movie. It's crazy. But this was a conversation that actually started last year. But just manifesting all this stuff into reality, I hope some of you guys could get inspiration and motivation from it. Because like this is all happening to me now, like in middle age, man. I wish it happened 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. But it's the point is it's not too late and always be ready. So when I say luck is when preparation meets opportunity, it's always better to be in the position of be prepared. It's better to be prepared and never get the opportunity than to get the opportunity and not be prepared. Like, just remember that, you know, always be ready, stay ready, be prepared, because you never know if that opportunity may finally arise. And obviously you do kind of, in a way, have to create your own opportunities. There's an aspect of that, but just in general with life, there's always going to be an element of luck that comes into somebody's life, right? Both good and bad. But you got to be prepared for either good or bad, good and bad, right?
Exactly. No, you've got it right. Exactly. And you prepare for both, so when either has happened, you're not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, I got to see what's up to my buddy Mike Nesto. Met him in Germany on the last Kumite, and we're going to be working together again shortly. So you're going to see some really big stuff. Yeah, Gravano has entered the chat. You guys will know all about Gravano in the future. Can't say too much now, but You're going to remember that name, Mike Nesto and Gravano.
Very cool. So, so any other questions that I can assist and help anybody with?
Well, guys, any last comments you want to ask Kenpo Joe, drop them now. Otherwise, we're gonna.
We should definitely, obviously, do a second interview. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah. With when we can actually see you in video, and we'll make sure we work out all the technical difficulties a day in advance, so we're not doing this ghetto, live stream. Me holding the phone next to the microphone.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool, man. We got great info out of you, which is, you're so knowledgeable. You're a martial arts historian. I think anybody listening to any portion of this interview would be like, this dude knows everything, right?
I keep busy. Life's not boring.
Yeah, it is not. It is not. Okay, so
before we go on, just with the subject matter, hey, people are asking in the past, how do I see or find out about the Black Dragon Fighting Society? You simply go to blackdragonfightingsociety.org. That is the Bill Aguiar website.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a YouTube channel called Black Dragon Fighting Society on YouTube, and it's under Black Dragon Fighting Society 6984, and you can check out videos there regarding that lineage. And I hope I was of some service and of some assistance.
Oh, definitely. And then, what's your main YouTube channel? Can someone just type in Kenpo Joe, or is there a specific?
All they have to do is type in Kenpo Joe, immediately followed by the number 1.
Kenpo Joe 1.
The person actually owned the Kenpo Joe channel actually contacted me and apologized for having it. He said, I'll give it to you. I said, no, man, you don't have to do that. It's okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Kenpo Joe 1. There's presently over 180 videos on there. I've got about another 20 that I'm putting on there. Some about Daniel Pai's Pai Lum Kung Fu and the White Lotus Kenpo system I'll be putting out. Also stuff on different, I'm always doing stuff on different martial arts. And there's a whole bunch of past episodes from Martial Arts Today TV that have not seen the light of day on YouTube yet.
Okay.
So we'll be putting out more out there.
Good deal, guys. Kenpo Joe 1. Go ahead and check the channel out, subscribe, and there's a, like Kenpo Joe said, a ton of videos, but a lot of new ones coming up soon.
You bet. And if you want to contact me on Facebook, it's just under Joe Rebelo, Rebelo. If you want to contact me on Instagram, it's Kenpo Joe _Rebelo, Rebelo. And love to hear from you. And if you got a YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Help me out. I'm up right now. What is out of curiosity? Oh, hails Viking Samurai. How many subscribers you got on YouTube?
Over 113,000 now, and I thank each and every one of you.
Wow, I've only got like 4,200. I got 4,200. So, if you are a Viking Samurai subscriber, hey, help a guy out. Subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, let's get him over 10,000. All right, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. I'll get you back on in the future, okay?
You got it, my friend.
All right.
Thank you so much for allowing me on your show.
Oh, of course. Later.
Take it.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining the live. And I am going to end the broadcast now.